No, I just first would like to give honor and respect to my leaders, Apostle A.J. Turner, who is my visionary, and Pastor Shariko Turner, who is my pastor. And I am Brother Henry Jackson. I'm from the Seven Stone Fellowship Deliverance Ministry, which is located in North Las Vegas, Nevada. And so I've come to you with a um this that really touched me personally because you know all of us had a dream in one form or another, and there may be something that the Lord have placed on your heart, um that He had called you to do, that no one else around you know about. um and so that's actually what I want to speak from is um rebuilding. um if the Lord gave you a yes, would you rebuild that thing was in your heart? And so what I'm um going to actually get to is the story of Nehemiah, um chapter 2, starting chapter 2, Nehemiah chapter 2, starting in verse 2 all the way to verse 13. If I'm not, no, 12. I'm sorry. Um, so if you had ever heard of the story of Nehemiah, talking about building up the wall, then yes, this is actually what it's referring to. So if you read chapter 1, um, Nehemiah was a governor of his people of Judea. And so even though that he was a government official, him and his people was enslaved by uh, Bib, uh, Babylonians. I believe that's like how you say it. And so after they was enslaved by them, then Persia came. If I'm not mistaken, Persia came and they took over um with the Babylonians. Okay, thank you, Lord. That the Babylonians came and took over the Jews from them, and so the Jews they got from them was actually Nehemiah and them. So after Persia had uh, took the Babylonians in battle, then they took Nehemiah, who was enslaved by them, and when they was enslaved by them, he took them on as his own personal, uh, well, I wouldn't say slaves, but as the king from the Persian, he basically wanted the Jews to work for him, and so that's what one of the things that Nehemiah, um, did, and so as they coming out of captivity from the Babylonians into going into Persia, and now they're working for Persia. And so Nehemiah specifically had a very important position, and his position was actually a king's advisor. And so one of his roles to this king was to specifically to taste his food and his food and water to make sure that they wasn't poisoned before the actual king gets it. So with this being said, I believe the king there understood. I mean, he wasn't a king where he was very like the Babylonians, where he didn't allow the Jews to serve. He allowed the Jews to serve their God while he was under them. This king was more of a more, what I like to say, a more freedom express type of king, and due to him allowing the Jews to worship God and still do their fasting, their praying to God, as the Lord is trying to deliver them out. Um, so now I just like to just read this to you, and it says, and it begins in chapter 2. This was the king, who was the king of Persia here speaking, and he said, "Yeah, you look disturbed. Yeah, I know you are not ill." Said that the sadness I see in you is the sadness of the heart. What is wrong? As I stood be as I stood there before the king, I was very afraid. May your life and reign extend forever, king. Why should my face look anything but sad? That's what Nehemiah was responding back to his king, and he says, "My homeland is destroyed. My city is a heap of rubble. Its once mighty gates are nothing more than charred tinder. This is the place where my ancestors are supposed to be at rest, but the very ground where they lie is ruined." So his king responded and said, What is it you want? All at once, he hears Nehemiah saying that all at once I prayed to the God of heaven and made my request to the king. And so he speaks to God and to his king here who he's serving, and he speaks by saying, if I have won your favor, my king, and if it's in your pleasure, send me to the city where my ancestors are buried. Let me rebuild the city in Judea. With his queen sitting beside him, the king continued to probe, and the king asked him, "Well, how long will your journey take? And when may I look for your return?" And so Nehemiah knew by the way how his king was asking him. He knew that the Lord was responding to his heart's desire. And so Jeremiah knew it say, "Then I knew that I had received his blessing. He was sending me." In response to his question, I set a time. So then this is where he asks his king, starting verse 7, say, "If it continues to please you, send me with letters bearing your name. Send me to those men you have appointed to govern the lands beyond the Euphrates," I think that's how you say it, river. Then I could be assured I will be safe, escorted to the borders of Judea by your armies. And may I also ask you for a letter to the warning of your forests, Asapha, I think that's how you say his name, that he will supply timber to me so that I can build gates into the fortress, around the temple mountain, gates and watchtowers in the walls around the city, and a house for myself. And this continues, says, "My true God had heard my prayers and rested his hand of favor and love upon me. By the king gave me everything that I asked for." And so what we what we actually see here specifically is what Jeremiah had on his heart was to actually to see his people go back home and go back to their home. And so what he wanted more than anything in his heart was to go back and do what he really loved it to do, and that's to worship the Lord. But however, he knew that where he was going, the place where he was at was actually what was burned down. And so as I do fast forward to verse 12, in this scripture specifically, Yeah, it says here. So okay, let me just start at 11 first. It's never the less my journey continued until I reached Jerusalem. After 3 days in the city, under the cover of darkness, I was accompanied by a small group of men. The true God had placed a secret plan on my heart, and there I had left it hidden until the time was right. No one knew it was. No one knew what it was that I imagined for Jerusalem. With my man walking beside me, I mounted and rode around the city. So when actually Jeremiah stated that the Lord gave him a heart um, to imagine these things for his people, imagine freedom, and imagine them having a new place. He knew that the place that the Lord gave him a heart to go after was the thing that he had to rebuild. You know, no, again. So the question where I'm asking you is that would you rebuild what's in your heart? Which means if you told the Lord what was on your heart and the Lord gave you a response by giving you a yes, then would you go after that thing? Even and specifically, his king not only gave him the yes, but he gave him the things that he needed to be able to rebuild that city. And so he made sure he sent his armies with him to make sure he had protection on his way there. He made sure he gave one of he needed a order slip to be able to walk around because when if he was a slave and he was caught by another person, then they would have enslaved him. So the fact that that king that he was enslaved by gave him permission to walk around freely and to go directly to Judea and to rebuild. So not only did he send his guard to protect him to make sure he don't get captured in the midst of him following his heart, but he also gave him the actual permission, and he gave him the actual another person with him, which was responsible for supplying him those the with the wood and everything that he needed to rebuild that place. And so the question I'm asking you is, if you have something that's on your heart, then if the Lord gives you a yes and by providing everything that you need, then the question is, would you actually still go? But the catch to this is you going, meaning that you have to leave behind what you had. And so this is actually why his king was asking him specifically, yeah, when will you return? So Jeremiah knew that a part of him following his heart, he had to walk out, and this was simply because, and this was going to take days to weeks or probably months for him to rebuild his city. And so even though the scripture talks about that when he went to the city, he snuck in the middle of the night when the guys were asleep, and he went there to go view the city. He noticed that all the rumors that he heard about the gate being burned and the whole city being destroyed, hardly nothing was actually recognizable. Um, and so again, if you did have a heart um, where to rebuild or to go after the thing that God gives you the yes, but it requires you to break free of those people who you were currently around, then would you actually go after that specific thing? So for me, I would, yes, because um personally, uh when the Lord actually placed on your heart something or the dream that He gave it to you to pursue. So I believe that those people that God placed in your life, um, that they are very understanding of what's in your heart and that they do release you in going there. So, with that being said, that the fact that the Lord wanted the thing that He wanted for Himself and His people, and so yeah, I mean, no, this story specifically just speaks for itself, and so man, that's just basically sums up the whole thing for me um is again when you have a heart or a desire to do something. I mean, yeah, I'm very sure there are some things that you may want to do that you know that is going to take your time and effort, and maybe your focus off of what you're currently doing now into going after what the Lord have called you to do. So yeah, again, this is a story that I recommend you to read um for yourself because there's a lot of things there's a lot of stuff to the story. Um, so if you have extra time, then please go to Nehemiah chapter. You can start at chapter 1, verse 1, and read all the way through to chapter 2. Then you will actually understand that um, that the type of man uh, that he was. He was a man of God, sure, but however, he really wanted what he wanted was he wanted for his people, and he knew for him to get for him. So basically, the Lord was basically equipping him to help bring his people out of that old mindset and to help the people to renew them in them a new spirit, a new heart, a new desire, and to actually know that when they come out of this, that they will come out and will be blessed for it. And so I think personally Nehemiah had a responsibility for his people and knowing that he took very seriously what the Lord has called him to do, and he just went after it. The fact that he kept it to himself and he still went out there and did it, and he actually got the wall built. And so again, his people was able to to rejoice and to finally have a place once again that they could call home. Um, Personally, yeah, I do really do wish that you really would read this for yourself because I really do believe that um, whatever is in your heart, that this message will speak to you like it did me. Um, so I just want to just say to everyone, I appreciate you all for actually coming on and just listening. Uh, to me. Again, I would just like to say, God bless every each one of you.